Former President Jacob Zuma has hit back at comments criticizing his term in office. President Cyril Ramaphosa, Finance Minister Tito Mboweni and others have made reference to what they call 9 wasted years. In response, Zuma published a letter detailing the gains South Africa has made during his presidency. But is that really the case? Well, it's also uncertain, of course, whether we'll attend, Jacob Zuma, that is, will attend this year's State of the Nation address for reasons, of course, that are yet to be known. But let's try and make sense of some of the comments and the things that have been happening around him this week, together with several others. Xolani, good evening. Thanks very much for coming through. Well, does the former president really have a case?
I think the former president, like anyone else, he will go out and defend his legacy. But I think he might see himself as someone who has been doing something great for himself. But the question is, what about the South Africans? Surely, if he was aware that a number of South Africans marched several times asking the ANC to remove this person, and the ANC defending him, I think if anyone can whisper in his ears, it will be an indication that says South Africans for the past 9 years have been living under a very dark cloud. But the question that we have to ask ourselves, was this dark cloud only manufactured by Jacob Zuma? The answer is no. Remember that the ANC believe in what is called collective leadership. They believe in they practice what is known as democratic centralism. And so whatever decision that Jacob Zuma made, I think it was reflecting, and it was a decision that was accepted by the collective leadership of the ANC. And so it means that the 9 wasted years is not only for JZ, but is for the whole leadership of the ANC.
But let's look at what he claims to have done. You and I only the other week were at the manifesto launch of the ANC, and they were making the exact same claims. So technically, he is not wrong. Yes, you may argue perhaps that when it comes to how, the state law enforcement agencies were crippled, when it comes to state capture and corruption, he may have been responsible for what happened there. But when it comes to the claims that the ANC has made as to what it has done over the past 25 years, it's the exact same claims that Jacob Zuma is making.
Look, Vuyo, what we have to understand, I think the most worrying factor is the incumbent president of the ANC, who is tap dancing all the way to the heart of the South Africans. But the question that we have to ask ourselves, is he an honest person? Because recently he's the person at John Langalibalele Dube Stadium at Inanda, while he was campaigning for the ANC. He praised Jacob Zuma. He even referred to Jacob Zuma as one of the most intelligent person in the ANC. And he even made it clear that he would like to source the Jacob Zuma's wisdom. But all of a sudden, Jacob Zuma is someone that the ANC is supposed to sacrifice. And so I think the problem here, in terms of communication, is nowhere else but in the presidency. And moreover, it seems as if the ANC is playing the what you call it, the political personal hatred, the politics of personal hatred. Because the way that they try to blame Jacob Zuma with everything, I think to a certain extent, we as South African, we are being surprised, because the issue of Marikana It happens in these 9 years. The issue of life as it demand is happen in these 9 years. But who are the culprit of these massacres? Is it Jacob Zuma alone? Is it Cyril? Is it Qedani Mahlangu? The question is the collective leadership of the ANC. And so whatever achievement or whatever downfall or whatever that has been happening while Jacob Zuma was the president of the ANC, everyone is supposed to take a collective responsibility. But what is interesting, Bosasa is forcing each and every member of the ANC to say, look, none of you is immaculate, all of you, you are tainted. And so indeed, it was a horror years of 9 years under the leadership of Gwede Mantashe, Nomvula Monkonyeni, Vincent Smith, Tabang Makwetla, and many others who have been alleged that they've benefited irregular from Bosasa.
Do you think that ANC leaders will ever take that responsibility? Here, I mean, we have an SIU report that is 10 years old that recommended that, former correctional services officials who, facilitated the deals with Bosasa be prosecuted. And none of that has happened yet. And yet we are told that we have turned the tide. I mean, Nomgcobo Chiba has not been there. Lawrence Mkhwebe has not been there, but still, no one has pressed charges.
Look, Vuyo, I think ANC is becoming a joke. And I think the ANC, it thinks that the South Africans are at the level of thinking capacity of its bona fide members. As we speak, you and I, we know that the public protector made it clear that Fikile Mbalula has acted irregular when he was in that 600,000 escapade to Dubai or wherever where he took that holiday. But the man is at the forefront of the ANC campaign. And at the same time in KwaZulu-Natal, we have Mike Mabuya Kulu. Nothing is happening about him. And we have Peggy Cele on the other. And so what I'm trying to say, South Africa is being surrounded or is in the ring of people who have questionable characters. And so that's why I'm saying that I think South Africans need to break this ring and South Africa need to chart a way forward. But if Cyril is trying to sacrifice Jacob Zuma for a way forward, I don't think that is going to succeed in that, because all of them, as Bosasa is explaining, that all of them are not clean as they want us to believe. And this is a kind of commission as we speak from the PIC. Can we imagine the rot that is there in the PIC? Can we imagine what is going to be unraveling in the PIC? The South Africans are still going to get shocked. But are we supposed to be shocked? That's the question. If we are shocked, what do we do with that?
And that's where we're going to leave it. Xolani Dube, thanks very much for your time. He is an